There's an article up on the hockey news, and it was in one of the magazines I read, and I thought I'd throw it at you guys because there's been talk a lot of the times on my channel about how I don't talk a lot about international hockey, such as worn by this is just awesome. And I did watch some of Finland versus U.S. women's hockey the other night, and it was fun to watch. Great jersey for Finland at this year's Olympics. Not a fan of the USA one at all. I think it's boring, but Finland's is fun because when you've got this much fun going on, it's hard not to have a fun jersey. But what is talked about in this article on the Hockey News, and I'll link it in the description, is the idea that because the NHL decided not to send its best players to Pyeongchang for the Olympics, then this writer, Ken Campbell, is going to boycott the NHL for 12 days. Um, uh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because if all I reported on was the Olympics for 12 days, um, I would not get the kind of views that I normally get, and it wouldn't work for me. Now, the challenge I'm also going to have with Olympic hockey is going to be scheduling. The way that the games are scheduled, they're on sometimes at the same time as NHL games, and I'm going to defer to NHL games until the actual medal rounds. Only because preliminary round hockey in Olympics is usually it's good, it's fun, but it's the medal rounds when things get really really fun. And because usually the way the Olympic tournament's set up, only two teams miss the medal round anyways. It can be kind of hard to watch sometimes. So for me, I'm gonna pay more attention during the medal round. But the idea that somehow we as fans should be angry at the NHL for not going to the Olympics is kind of weird. The Olympics back in the '80s when I started watching Olympic hockey, it was about amateur athletes. It was about kids. It was kind of about like when I was watching the downhill snowboard, the downhill snowboard freestyle jump crap. Like I don't know how these people do this, but the Canadian got silver, and then the winds were so crappy that all of the women were falling shortly after her. I don't understand why they kept jumping those conditions personally. Personally, I mean, I would love to be the one winning a medal, but I'd feel kind of bad for the girls that went after me that didn't have a chance because the crosswinds picked up so much and they get up so high in the air that they can't land it properly. But again, that's conditions, and I'm sure people would say, well, that's the way it works. Now, why didn't I do a video on it? Well, this is a hockey channel. I'm not going to be doing videos on Olympic medals. I watched Canada win gold in figure skating. I'm not putting a video on here about that. But there are going to be scheduling dilemmas. And I really don't understand why you'd have to boycott the NHL. I don't even know what message that would send because the NHL is going back in 2022. They weren't going because they didn't see any value in going to Korea and going through the time change and shutting down the NHL for another 3 weeks. Now, in 4 years, they're going to China. You better believe that for China, they're going to shut the NHL down for a few weeks because China, they view as being big, big money. And it's not meant as an insult to Korea. It's certainly not me saying that. It's just that's the perception I've had from the NHL. We've already had games played in China this past fall. They're already getting ready to send athletes to China. I have no doubt in my mind they're going. And it is like kind of a slap in the face to Koreans, sure. And hopefully ice hockey picks up big in Korea coming out of the games, and the NHL regrets what they've done, say as little as 4 years from now. But the other part of this was it was used as a leverage point against the players. And I don't agree with that either. But it's what happened. And so for me, not supporting hockey and not watching like the Toronto Tampa game that's on right now, not watching hockey because I'm gonna boycott it in favor of the Olympics. My viewership doesn't make a big difference. I guess what the article's trying to say is, hey, if we all got together and stopped watching the NHL for 2 weeks, but it's 2 weeks, and the NHL's already made its money off of its contract with Rogers in Canada. It's already made its money off its contracts with other companies in the States, whether it's Fox Sports or NBC. So by not watching and dropping the ratings there for a couple of weeks, you drop ad buys and you're basically screwing over the broadcasters of the hockey. You're still not hurting the NHL, and it's only for 2 weeks. So it's not like next year they're going to be going, man, those 2 weeks just killed us. They're going to be upset. Advertisers are going to say, well, you didn't get, you're not going to get as much money for X amount of time, but it's 2 weeks. It's not like a rival league is out there that we can sit and watch for a whole year. And it would be great, to be able to say, all right, well, the NHL shut down, let's watch the Olympics. And I was, in a way, looking forward to that during the summer until they said for sure they weren't going, because I thought we could do all kinds of fun videos on that. And I could do some fun stuff with that. But there's limits. There's limits, because I still have to pay attention to the NHL. And I find it really strange that the Hockey News, in particular, a writer for the Hockey News, who's made his bread and butter off of NHL hockey, is willing to turn his back on NHL hockey for almost 2 weeks. Because that's how you made your... And Ken Campbell's reported on Olympics before, and he's reported on other things, and he's been a reporter for that magazine for a very long time. But he's made his money, and he's gathered his fame from reporting on the NHL. So I find that really kind of strange. I commend the Hockey News for how much they report on all kinds of other forms of hockey and other levels. They don't do it as much as they used to. I'm going to look through old annuals especially once we reach the summer. I'll be going through how reporting has changed on hockey over the last 30 years. Lots of fun stuff like that. But in this case, to me, it just feels like it's kind of weird, because you don't hurt. If this is about we don't like Gary Bettman, you don't hurt Gary Bettman. It's sort of like when people say, I'm not buying jerseys that are genuine because I don't want to support Gary Bettman. There's no Gary Bettman jerseys. There's no such thing as a hockey. When I buy this, I don't support Gary Bettman at all. None of my money goes to Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman gets his money through an agreement with the owners. The way to hurt Gary Bettman is to watch Gary Bettman shoot himself in the foot and bring about a CBA that actually costs the owners money. But as long as he's making the league a lot of money, and he's making the owners a lot of money, and over the last 25 years, the NHL has become a much more profitable league than it ever was before Gary Bettman was in charge. And we can debate all day and all night what kind of influence he's had on it. But boycotting the NHL for 2 weeks doesn't hurt Bettman. Not buying jerseys doesn't hurt Bettman. Nothing we can do can hurt Bettman. It can hurt players. In terms of merchandise sales, it can hurt some of the ownership, but not by much. All of it reminds me of, especially this boycott, it reminds me of coming out of the last lockout. So 2013. All I heard was people saying, I'm not supporting this league. They're all greedy. Players, owners are all greedy. I'm not supporting the NHL anymore. When this lockout's over, I'm done. This game, I'm done with it. It's finished. And what happened? They had the best attendance they've ever had, and they made major profits then and going forward. And my bet is, while Mr. Campbell's got his article up about boycotting, he's not going to boycott. He's still going to pay attention to the scores. He's still going to know what's going on, and he's still going to watch highlights. The only thing he may not do is watch the live videos of what's going on, like the actual game itself. But some of that could be scheduling conflicts, couldn't it? So I'm also doing this sort of let you guys know that I will report on the Olympic hockey as much as I can, but that I will always have an eye towards the NHL games, because the NHL games feature the higher talent players. I'm trying to word this as well as I can. I will pay more attention. Obviously, if the Olympics were the only show in town and the NHL had shut down, we'd be doing major stuff reporting on the Olympics, but it just hasn't been the case. And again, I've been watching Olympic coverage here and there. Canada's doing really well. I'm really, really happy about what Canada's been doing in the Olympics. I just don't have a channel right now that really specifically would work with that. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What does a boycott do? I don't think it does anything. But let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm wrong on this one. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And again, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.